Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another video. So in this week's video, I want to talk about selfish people. Chances are we all know this person, and chances are we actually can't escape this person. So we're going to talk about why people are selfish and how we can learn to engage with them or interact with them or deal with them or handle ourselves when we're around them, because this type of personality, whether it's someone who's narcissistic or not even someone who has MPD, there are just people that are just self-absorbed. It is always about themselves. So I'm not talking about the people that have a healthy sense of self and like to put themselves first, meaning doing things that fill up my own cup, that I'm making sure that I'm taking care of me. So I'm not talking about the healthy real sense of self and the really healthy ability to put my own self first. I'm talking about complete and utter selfishness. So let's get into, first off, the difference between the two. So a healthy person, of course, is going to put themselves first in a lot of aspects. They're going to take care of themselves, they're going to fill up their own cup, and they're going to have a really great balance between, I need to put me first in this situation and take care of myself, but then I also have the ability to balance me with you. So there are going to be times where I absolutely have to put me first, and then there are going to be times where I can absolutely put you first. So they know the balance between the two. Someone who is selfish really doesn't have that balance. It is always about their needs, their wants, their concerns, how to fill themselves up first. They're not able to really give and share and compromise. It is just always me, me, me. It is always about taking. Whereas a healthy person will always find the balance between making sure that I'm good and making sure that our relationship is good. And are there going to be times where I might have to put someone else before me? Yes. But then once that's done, I come back to me and I fill me up. So they know how to balance themselves. Someone who is selfish, self-absorbed, egotistical, all of those types of things, it is only always about their needs and their wants and how they can benefit from this situation. So a selfish person is never going to have the capacity to be able to think about someone else. And that's the real difference. So if I'm healthy and I'm good to go and I fill myself up and I put myself first, I still have the capacity to think about you and what could benefit you and what is good for you. Now, I don't want to go too far with that, because if I start going too far into you, then I may start struggling with codependency, or I may start becoming a little bit of that people pleaser, and I may be super hyper focused on everyone else and everything else, and I become drained. So like always, there has to be a balance. But with someone who's really selfish, that balance doesn't happen, because their inability to put anyone else above their own needs and wants, that just doesn't exist. It's never going to happen, because it comes back to just being selfish, always being about me and what I need. So you can be selfish with your time, you can be selfish with your money, you can be selfish with, your possessions. You could be selfish in terms of sharing those things with other people. It's not just about putting someone else before you. It is also about being able to share and allow everyone to win, and that it's not just about me always getting my way, because it should feel good on some levels to actually see someone else succeed. It should feel good on some levels to know that, wow, I'm actually helping you, and that makes me feel good inside. Being able to share and give is a part of the human experience, but it is something that's taught. And if you're not taught how to do that when you're a child, you will grow up to be a selfish person, a selfish adult. If you are a child that isn't learning how to do these things, this is where we tend to think of a spoiled brat. We tend to think of a child that always gets their needs and their wants fulfilled at the drop of a dime, never has to share, never has to have empathy for other people. And the reason why parents will do this is one of two reasons. Either because they feel guilt for some reason and they just overindulge the child, or quite frankly, they just don't want to parent. And there are parents out there that they don't parent. They don't want to fight the fight. They don't care to. And the reason why they don't want to parent is because they're selfish as well. So here we see the dynamic and the cycle of dysfunction just continuing on from generation to generation. So because the parent is selfish and doesn't actually want to do the hard work that it takes to raise a child into a healthy adult, you then are raising a child to follow the same patterns as the adult does, which is the adult's selfish, the child becomes selfish because the adult is not teaching the child empathy, sharing, compassion, caring. They're understanding that while, of course, regardless of my financial situation, I want to give you everything I possibly can, but that's not always beneficial to you, is because we want to make sure that we have a balance between you getting what you want, but understanding that you can't get everything you want whenever you want it. Now, in terms of selfishness, if you're going more into that like narcissistic realm, a lot of the times it is always about me. I'm the person with MPD. It's always about me because I'm always 100% looking out for myself first, but I also don't want to really see anyone else succeed. I don't want to see anyone else happy, because if someone else is succeeding, then there's a fear that I either won't succeed or that you're taking away something that will help me to succeed. Or if you're miserable and unhappy, that actually makes me feel good about my own self. So there's a lot of different dynamics or things that could be happening, which causes a person to not want to share, that only wants to be concerned with what's good for them and what they need and what they want, whether it's time, money, or possessions. People that are really wrapped up in their own selves, they come from a lot of fear and lack. On some levels, they believe that they need more than you, that they deserve more than you because they're either special, I'm more special than you are, and so I require more out of my parents, out of these people, whatever the case looks like. So that could 100% be happening. And again, it goes back to, if I'm higher than you, if I'm better than you, if I'm more special than you, and then we can't win. Because what is actually going on way in the back of the mind is more of, I'm insecure and I can't see you win. I can't see you get something without me getting something, because then I feel bad about my own self because I'm not secure with my own self. And the reason why a child would feel this and not want to share or be selfish or be a spoiled brat is because they're not getting the things that they actually need to grow up to be a healthy adult. The reason why an adult is like this is because they did not get the things in childhood that they needed to be a secure and healthy adult. Selfish people really tend to be very good manipulators as they begin to grow up, because they start to learn in childhood, well, when I do certain things, I get what I want. And so they start to learn these tactics or these ways of operating in the world through just time and experience. And they take those techniques into their adulthood and begin doing this as they become adults. And they don't even realize what they're doing as adults. They don't realize that they're being manipulative. If you're dealing with, maybe a psychopath or a sociopath, or even someone who possibly has a full-blown MPD, then yeah, they might blatantly know that they're doing something that's manipulative to kind of, conform the situation to get what they want. But chances are they just have been living in a habitual state and a pattern for so long, and they're completely oblivious to what it is that they're actually doing. One of the biggest things that's going to help you if you have to deal with this person, because believe me, if you have to co-parent, work with, a family member that you might own a business with, or whatever that looks like for you, where you can't really escape this type of personality, it is a struggle to be around this person, because their agenda only goes back to themselves, and they're never going to do the right thing. They're never going to put anyone else in consideration. It is always going to be what works for them. So when you see this, chances are, because you're a good person, you're going to get very frustrated and angry when you're dealing with this type of personality, because you realize it's not fair. It's not the way things should be, but you have to go toe-to-toe with this person on some level. I always say the biggest thing that you can ever do for yourself is educate yourself. Knowledge is power. And if you know your audience, I always say, know the people that are in your life, whether they're good people or whether they're unhealthy people. Know the patterns that they do within themselves or display out to the world, whether it's negativity, whether it's selfishness, whether it's narcissism, whether it's manipulation, passive aggressive, whatever it is, whatever maybe lack that they come from or fears that they come from. It is so important to know your audience. When you know your audience, then you actually have power in that moment through practice to be able to manage yourself better when you are around this person. Because when you see their tactic, whether again, it doesn't have to be manipulation or, selfishness or whatever. It could be little things. It could be someone that you really, really love, but maybe they're just extremely negative and come from a ton of lack. If you're aware of this, then you won't take that on, and that won't affect your decisions going forward if you're having a conversation with them or whatever the example is. The same thing with selfishness. If you know that this person is incapable, then you have to learn to stop trying to get water from a rock. So it's always going to come back to you. It's always going to be about you learning how to manage yourself the best when you're around this person. And I tell people all the time, it is practice, but it actually starts with a goal. So if the goal is, I'm fully aware that you can be manipulative at times, I'm fully aware that you are completely selfish, while yes, of course, your humanness might come forward and you might still get annoyed or aggravated or angry at this person for doing something that they did. It's just the ability to be aware of your own anger and learn how to manage your own self, because you literally are not going to change anyone else. So if you can only change yourself, then what you have to come to terms with is I either have to learn how to manage myself better when I'm coming toe to toe with this person, which could just mean learning how to enforce your standards and talk about your boundaries and enforce your boundaries when needed, which that is a topic in itself. And I've done a ton of videos on boundaries, but that's a topic in itself. Or this person just shouldn't be in your life anymore. So like I say in all my videos, it's really, really always about you, and it's learning how to manage yourself better, and how is this person challenging you in some way for you to grow and learn what you need to learn in order for you to be your healthiest. So I hope you have enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget to comment down below and give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you next week.